Real sensor data is messy. One bad reading, and without help, Python doesn't skip it. It crashes the entire program. So how do real automation systems keep running, even when one reading is broken?
Real sensor data is messy. Look at this list. Most of these are real numbers as text, but NA and ABC are not. They're exactly the kind of garbage a real sensor sometimes sends back. If we tried float of NA directly, unprotected, Python would raise a value error right there and stop the entire program. Even the good readings after it never get processed. That's the risk we're solving today. Try means attempt this. Except value error means if converting to a number specifically fails, land safely here instead of crashing. Inside parse_reading, we attempt the conversion. If it fails, we print a warning and return none instead of letting the error escape. Down in the loop, we only keep a reading if it isn't none. 2 bad values in, 2 skipped, 4 good ones survive, and the program never stopped running.
Try means attempt this. Except means if it fails, land safely here instead. Don't crash. 2 bad readings get caught and skipped. 4 good ones survive. The program never stops running.
Let's walk through this one piece at a time because there's more happening here than it looks like. The function takes one input, file name, and immediately opens a try block. Inside it, we're doing something you already know from day 6, opening the file in read mode and calling f.read, which pulls the entire contents of the file back as one single string. If that file genuinely exists, that string gets returned immediately and the function is done. Now look at what sits underneath, except FileNotFoundError. This is Python's own built-in name for a very specific situation. You ask to open a file by a path and nothing exists at that path. Not corrupted, not empty, simply not there. Python already knows how to recognize this exact situation and gives it this exact name, which is why we can catch it by name instead of guessing what kind of error might occur. Inside that except block, 2 things happen. First, a print statement using an F string which drops the actual file name directly into the sentence. So whoever's watching this run knows precisely which file was missing, not just that something somewhere failed. Second, and just as important, return none. This function makes a deliberate choice here. Rather than crashing, rather than returning an empty string, it returns the value none. Python's built-in way of saying there is genuinely nothing here. That distinction matters because whatever code calls this function next can check for none specifically and decide what no config available should actually mean for the rest of the program. Down at the bottom, we call the function and store whatever comes back in a variable named config. Since our file doesn't exist yet, config becomes none, and when we print it, that's exactly what shows up on screen. Proof that our fallback path worked exactly as designed, not as an accident.
The exact same pattern works for a missing file. Different error type, same shield.
This function looks tiny, but every single word in it is doing real work. So let's slow down. Sum of values adds up every number in the list into one total. Len of values counts how many numbers are actually in that list. Divide the first by the second and you have a genuine average. That's the entire calculation. One line, no loop needed, because Python's built-in sum and len functions already handle the counting for us. Here's the question worth asking out loud. When does this actually break? Division only fails in Python when the second number, the one you're dividing by, is exactly 0. And length of an empty list is exactly 0. So the moment somebody passes an empty list into this function, no readings at all, that division silently attempts to divide by 0, and Python raises ZeroDivisionError to say so. The except block catches precisely that situation and returns 0 instead of letting the program stop. Notice the choice being made here. 0 is a reasonable stand-in for there's nothing to average, a decision that fits this specific function. That's worth remembering because it's a different choice than cell 2 made. There, a missing file became none. Here, an empty list becomes 0. Neither is universally correct. They're each chosen to fit what makes sense for that particular piece of data. The two print lines underneath prove both paths. Our valid readings list has 4 real numbers in it, so the first call does a normal division and returns 90. The second call passes in a completely empty list on purpose, triggers the exact failure we just described, and returns 0 instead of crashing. A controlled, predictable outcome instead of a program that simply stops.
3 completely different failures. One repeating pattern to handle all of them safely.
This function has 2 parameters, raw readings and a config file name, and honestly, not one new idea inside it. Every single line is calling something we've already built and already tested, which is exactly the point. So let's trace through it carefully anyway, because seeing familiar pieces combine is its own kind of understanding. The first 3 print statements just build a text banner, purely for readability, no logic involved. Then, config equals load config, called with whatever file name was passed in. That's cell 2 called directly by name. Whatever that function decides to return, real content or none if the file's missing, lands in this local variable called config. The next line is worth pausing on. Print an F string containing config is not none. That expression evaluates to a plain true or false, and we're printing that boolean directly as a quick, honest status check. Did we actually get a config or didn't we, without needing to print the entire raw content of the file itself? Then we set up an empty list called parsed and loop over every single item in raw readings, one at a time. For each one, we call parse reading, passing in that raw value, and store whatever comes back in a variable called value. Here's the important check. If value is not none, only then do we append it onto our parsed list. Why check specifically for none rather than just checking if value exists in some looser sense? Because a real sensor reading could legitimately be 0, and 0 would incorrectly look empty or falsy to a looser check. Checking explicitly against none avoids accidentally throwing away a perfectly valid 0 reading. After the loop finishes, parsed holds only the readings that survived. Every bad one was already filtered out safely inside parse reading itself. One more function call, average of parsed, calculates the final number, reusing cell 3 exactly as it was written. And the 2 final print lines simply show what we ended up with, the surviving readings and their average. 3 separate already tested functions called in sequence, each one trusting that the last one behaved correctly. That's the entire design.
Nothing new here, just 3 safe functions called together in order. But here's a case our shield wouldn't catch. A missing value isn't badly formatted. It's not there at all.
This cell exists to expose a real gap in what we built earlier. So let's look at exactly where that gap is. Our mixed readings list has 4 entries this time. A normal numeric string, the value none itself, a badly formatted string, and another normal numeric string. Watch what happens when each one hits float inside the try block. The string 85 converts cleanly, no problem. The string ABC fails to convert, and Python raises value error, exactly the error type our original except clause already knew how to catch. But the third item isn't a badly written string at all. It's the actual value none, Python's representation of nothing. Ask Python to convert none into a float, and it doesn't raise value error. It raises a completely different error called type error, because the problem isn't that the text was formatted wrong. There was no text to begin with, just the wrong type of object entirely being handed to a function that expected something number-like. That distinction matters because our original accept value error from cell 1 only listens for one specific error type. A type error would slip right past it, completely uncaught, and crash the program anyway, the exact failure we thought we'd already solved. The fix sits in one small piece of syntax, except followed by a set of parentheses containing both error names separated by a comma. That parentheses group tells Python, catch either of these, treat them the same way. Now both a badly formatted string and a genuinely missing value get redirected to the same safe path, printing the same warning, returning the same none. Run this loop over all 4 mixed readings and you'll see 3 of them print an actual number, while both problem entries, the missing value and the bad string, get caught and safely skipped without a single crash.
One shield can catch more than one kind of failure at once. Just list them together, separated by a comma.
This function introduces one genuinely new keyword, finally, and the clearest way to understand it is to trace through both calls at the bottom separately, step by step, because they take 2 completely different paths through the exact same code. First call, check sensor with 85 and 100. Inside try, value divided by threshold runs without any problem, produces a real result, and that gets printed as a ratio. The except block never runs at all here. There was nothing to catch. But look at what runs next anyway. The finally block, printing sensor check complete. Even though nothing went wrong, even though except was completely skipped, finally still executed. Second call, check sensor with 85 and 0. This time, dividing by threshold means dividing by 0, and Python raises zero division error immediately, right there inside try. Execution jumps straight into the except block, which prints its own message instead of a ratio, and then finally runs again. Same block, same message, printed a second time, even though this call took a completely different failing path through the function. That's the actual definition of finally. Code inside it runs after try and except are completely finished, no matter which path was taken to get there, success or a caught failure. It does not run instead of except, and it doesn't get skipped if except already handled something. It runs in addition, every single time, as the very last step. In real engineering code, that guarantee is what you'd reach for to close a connection, release a lock, or log that a check genuinely completed. Actions that need to happen regardless of whether everything above them went smoothly.
One last piece. Code inside finally runs no matter what happened above it. Success or failure, it always executes. That's the real lesson today. You don't predict every way data can go wrong. You catch it safely when it happens. Today we have completed with exception on day 8, and next we teach Python to save and load structured data properly, starting with JSON on day 9. If this helped, subscribe to our channel. It's free. Share it with someone who needs it. Code's in the description. See you tomorrow.